So I'm going to start with the board introduction, starting with Kathy, and then they'll share who should introduce themselves next.
Hi, I'm Kathy Hatfield. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. I am the current vice president for the board for GPCI and work in a lot of different areas, volunteering and giving my time. The main area that I work in with Kristen is the ambassador program, and you'll hear more about that in just a little while. And I will go to the next person on my screen, and that is Tammy.
Making sure I'm off mute. My name is Tammy Tilsey, and I work as a volunteer and a contractor with GPCI. I've been on the board several years in the past decade, and so I know a lot of the board people and work mainly in the marketing area. I am not a grant professional myself, so mainly in marketing and raising up the profession. And so I will go to Amanda Neese next.
Thanks, Tammy. My name is Amanda Neese. I work for a hospital and healthcare system in New York, but I work remotely. So I'm here in Roanoke, Virginia, so Southwest Virginia. This is my first full year on the board, but I've been a grant professional for 21 years and a GPC for 2 years. It took me a long time to get to the confidence to take the exam. So welcome. So glad to have so many people interested today. And I'm going to pass it off to Katie.
Hey everybody, I'm Katie Shoemaker. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I am both on the GPCI Board of Directors as well as the chair for the Eligibility Committee. So excited to chat with you all about opportunities we have there. And I'll pass it to Steve.
Good morning. My name is Steve Harrington. I am a grants administrator for the South Carolina Department of Public Health. I have been on the board a little over a year. I've had my GPC for 19 years. I was in the initial group that took the test and passed. And I work on the exam development group as a volunteer for GPCI. And I think I shall go to, I think that's it. I think that's everybody, isn't it?
Yes, thanks, Steve. I'm going to have Carly share an introduction as well.
Hi, I'm Carly. I kind of monitor the volunteer inbox. If you send any of your questions to volunteer at Grant Credential, I'll either respond to you directly or I'll pass it off to one of these board members that have introduced themselves if you have more specific questions. But anyways, happy to be here.
Thank you. So I'm going to give a brief overview of what our plan is today. We will hear more from Carly in a very important part. And I'll be honest, the reason I wanted to do this webinar is because when we do send out conflict of interest, that has often been something that all of us have questions on. So Carly's going to go through some of that with us. So with our agenda today, we did our introductions. We are going to go through briefly what the Grant Professional Certified Credential is about, the GPC. We invite everybody to volunteer with us. So I'm not going to assume that everyone has their GPC or knows about it. So we'll mention that. We'll talk about the volunteer opportunities, application process for volunteering, and then questions that you might have. Our current president, Lakeisha, will be joining us. She just had a conflicting meeting, so she will be coming, and then she'll cover many of the different areas related to the board. Each of us will talk through and share information on our areas of expertise or things that we're chairing as board members. For those of you that are a GPC, if we don't say this enough, I want to make sure to reiterate that the work that you do as a volunteer in any capacity for GPCI, that counts towards your renewal of your GPC. And then for those that are doing eligibility as well, volunteering is a category that you can use your time with as well. So I am going to turn it over to Steve to share a little bit more about GPC.
Thank you. GPCI, our mission is dedicated to measuring and promoting competency and ethical practices within the field of grantsmanship. GPCI accomplishes this mission through the identification of grant professionals who display outstanding expertise and ethical practices as measured by a psychometrically valid and reliable assessment tool. Next slide, please. We are NCAA accredited program. We are, unless it's just recently changed, we are the only grant certified professional group in the country that has this NCCA accreditation. We worked very hard to get it, and we are continually working on to keep it. So it's not something that is just given to you. It's something that you have to work for. And we have as a board and a group, and we plan on continuing it. Back to you.
Right. And we are the first. Now we are the first one to first grants focused credential to have the NCCA accreditation. Our friends at NGMA have, which some of you, I'm a member of them as well. They have a credential that has also received that accreditation. So just a note of that. But we were first, and we work really hard to retain it. We do want to mention the accreditation because we follow the accreditation guidelines. The vetting process for volunteers and what we can have volunteers do is something that we always rely on those accreditation policies. And so that's why it's a little different perhaps than other places that you volunteer, because we have to meet all this criteria and document. So any grant managers out there, you know how much documentation is always required. So we're going to go through the following volunteer opportunities today. So we'll talk about our ambassadors. Eligibility is one of the areas of our certification process. So we call that its own content area or team, eligibility team. CMP, that is renewing your credential. Marketing, we have a lot of great opportunities in. And then Lakeisha and I will talk through the special projects. And Lakeisha, when she joins us, will talk about the board of directors as well. So I'm going to hand it over to our wonderful ambassador chair, Kathy, who works with Kristen on that project.
Hi, thank you. So I'm going to briefly talk about the ambassador program, and then I apologize because I'll have to leave after that. I have a conflicting meeting, but I'm happy to talk to anybody about it. The goal of the ambassador program is to help increase the number of professionals who are GPCs. And so it's an outreach initiative where we engage volunteers who serve as champions for the GPCI and GPC credentialing. Ambassadors share resources, information, experiences. We ask for a 1-year commitment. It's not a volunteer opportunity where you have to be a GPC. We have had non-GPCs serve as an ambassador in the year that they're preparing to take the exam. So if you do not have your credential yet and you want to get your feet in with volunteering, this is a good place to do it in the year that you're working on getting your credential. Next slide, please. We are trying to have an ambassador in every part of this country. The ones listed are the ones where we currently have a need. For example, I had a request from Wisconsin a couple of days ago, and we don't have someone in that state. And so these are areas that we're particularly looking for someone to serve. However, if your state or locality is not on here, we still welcome you. The good thing about volunteering as an ambassador is it's very flexible. It can be as simple as we share information about, say, a GPC fireside is happening, and you share it with the member groups or with your peers to let them know that it's coming up. We also have ambassadors, as I was saying, who are working on getting their GPC, and they're facilitating a study group during that year. And we have ambassadors that share it. So, for example, the Middle Tennessee GPA chapter, there are two ambassadors that share that role. So it's not something where we're limited to how many people have to be in a certain geographic area. So please don't let it dissuade you if this is something you're interested in and you don't see your locality up there. Um, as I said, it's very flexible. The only criteria is that um, we do a survey once a year asking people what they've done to promote the GPC, and we ask that you respond to that. And I think that
We're going to go to Katie, and we'll also put in the chat and send it out to everyone the email address for our ambassadors, because some of our programs have specific email addresses. So if you're interested at all, please email Kathy and Kristen, and then also we'll answer any questions about ambassadors in her absence as she has to go. Eligibility with Katie. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thanks, Jolene. So for the eligibility review committee, kind of to back up a little bit for those of you who may not have their GPC, when you are going through the process to sit for the exam, you have to submit an eligibility packet, which has a nice list of preset criteria in which you have to submit to the committee for review. Each packet is submitted to me, and I do kind of like an admin screen of it. And then every week, our review committees review the packets that have come in. The volunteers don't volunteer every month. You get put on an every other month cycle, and it's flexible based on what your schedule needs or allows. There really is no like hard and fast rule. If you can't review one month, that's okay. We can switch you to another month as needed. Essentially, how it works is when the packets come in, I review them for all of their different components to be correct, and then I send them every Monday afternoon to the committee with an empty rubric. And it's kind of like a teacher scoring a paper or scoring a test. You go through the packet and you assign a score to each section based on the preset rubric. And you go down the whole thing, and then you're scoring for that minimum 120 points for the applicant to sit for the exam to be eligible. Like I said, it's 6 months out of the year. Every month, the time commitment can vary depending on how busy of a month it is with packet submissions. For example, the end of the year is always a little busy because everybody's trying to get their packet in before the end of the year to meet maybe their personal or career professional development goals or whatever it might be. Or when GPCI is running a promotion on, a promo code or whatever to sit for the exam, maybe it's a little cheaper or whatever we have going on that year, we tend to see an influx of packets. But it's actually really fun. Before I sat on the board, I used to review packets for 3 or 4 years. It was something I found really valuable and just made me feel good about giving back to the profession. And it's an easy way to get some CMP points and give back to GPCI. I believe you do need to have your GPC though to sit on this review committee because you're reviewing packets for the exam. So yeah, if you have any questions about what that process looks like or anything, you can reach out. And I take new reviewers like kind of on an ad hoc basis. So even if you're like, this might not be something I'm interested in today, but maybe 3 or 4 months down the road you're interested, I'm happy to onboard new reviewers throughout the year.
Great. Thank you so much, Katie. And so as we were going through our life cycle thank you, Katie, for mentioning that. So after eligibility, then once you pass through that, you actually work with our exam administration team. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But now you have your GPC, and you need to renew your GPC every 3 years. So we call that the Certificate Maintenance Program, CMP. As any organization, we love our acronyms. So for this team, it is similar to eligibility where we have criteria to renew your GPC. And so the packet comes in, and then you have a rubric as well to judge that by. So it's very similar to eligibility as far as what you're doing in the process. And everything is very straightforward we don't send things to reviewers until we assure first that they have everything that's needed on that application. Then once you receive it, you go through and you just make sure that everything that they have meets the criteria that's in the handbook, and we go through training with it. We do operate on a quarterly basis for the renewals for the CMPs. And so what I'm going to ask for, and I work with this area, is that I would like volunteers willing to do at least 2 of the quarterly cohorts. And it does run pretty much just as the quarter does in a calendar year. So that's the commitment that we are going to ask for. But I want to mimic what the great work Katie does. And so that right now we have reviewers who review all year, but instead I would prefer that people have the option to choose which quarter works for them as they go through that. And then we do like a 2-year commitment just because of the training that is involved in that process. This one as well would be one that and many of ours, you do need to have your GPC in order to be a volunteer on some of these committees. We also have a lot of opportunities that you don't need your GPC for, but this would be one as well that we would have the GPCs involved in that. So thank you. So we're going to move to marketing, and Amanda's going to kick us off in this area.
Hi, so we have a lot of opportunities for those of you who may be social media savvy, or those of you who like to support rubric in terms of scholarships and accepted education. We also have a need for those of you who are really social and extroverted to help us with exhibits at our events and conferences that we attend, to reach out to prospective members, prospective GPCs, and to help us continue to promote the GPC credential. So I'm going to hand it over next to Jelaine, who will talk to you a little bit more about the scholarship reviewers and the role you could play there if you're interested.
Thank you so much. So I will say, following up on whether or not you need a GPC, most of our marketing activities do not require that you hold the GPC. So it just kind of varies. Of course, we always want to mitigate conflict of interest. So if you're going to apply for a scholarship, which we would love you to do if you don't have your GPC, we wouldn't have you in this category of reviewers. But we do offer one time a year, coming up this spring, we will offer scholarship opportunities for both the people who are going to sit for the exam in the coming year or in 2026, but also if you have a CMP coming up, we have a couple of scholarships for those renewals as well. So for our scholarship reviewers, this one is a very, if you're looking for something you can do at a certain time and not do year round, this is a great option for you. This happens in the spring. So we do training in April. We walk you through the entire process in the same way again. You'll look at those applications for scholarships. We have a rubric that you follow as you're evaluating them. And then we do again ask for a 2-year commitment as well, just for consistency with those scholarship programs. The main thing we're looking for is people that can submit their reviews on time, and those are conducted in May when we go through that. So I know I know we have people at least registered. If you haven't participated as a scholarship reviewer in the past, we had some questions come in. So thank you for doing that. It's really important to us to ensure that the donors that are giving those scholarship funds are confident in that they're being appropriately distributed. So we appreciate everything our scholarship reviewers do. And I think the next one is me as well. Another area of marketing that we have it's called our Accepted Education Program. So this is when you're renewing your GPC, we have a certain percentage, 20% of your renewal has to come from curriculum that we have evaluated, and it's in our AEP program, as we call it. So for this, for volunteers in this area, it's very important that you do not offer any type of training, or your business doesn't offer any type of training. You do not have to have a GPC for this. But that is really the firewall we have to put in, that if you you're involved in any way in trainings, we this wouldn't be the committee for you. So basically, the accepted education providers will send in their curriculum, and then our reviewers go through and they review it to make sure it meets our competencies and other criteria. And then they report those decisions to the AEP committee, who will translate that to the trainers themselves. The time commitment does vary because we will accept that curriculum at any time. So I think it just varies based on submissions, and we're estimating about 2 to 4 hours, excuse me, a month. And we do prefer a 1 year commitment to this. But again, as long as you don't offer training, or your company that you work for doesn't, this can be a really great way as well to better understand. And I will say that I love this program because I learned so much about the wonderful trainings that are out there, and it helps me in my own professional development as well. So that's my pitch for the AEP reviewers. And then I'm going to turn it over to Steve.
Sorry, I was on mute. Forgive me. We are looking for event assistants in the San Antonio area to assist us with planning and coordinating the annual GPC reception and the GPCI exhibits and activities in the San Antonio area during our next during GPA's next grant summit. It's to be 2 to 3 hours a month, and additional time leading up to and during the event. We're also looking for a volunteer coordinator to review volunteer applications for alignment and conflicts, to match the volunteers to roles based on their skills and GPCI's needs, to communicate and serve as a point of contact for our volunteers, to assist with yearly documentation of CMP points for those volunteers, and it should only be about 2 to 3 hours per month. Back to you, Jillian.
Thank you. So Amanda's going to walk through some of our outreach and growth opportunities in marketing as well. And we do have a marketing consultant, Tammy, who can share more information as well. So Amanda.
Hey, so our marketing committee is pretty active, and there are multiple streams for you to become involved depending on where your strengths and interests lie. One of those areas is in social media support. Either using your personal or your professional account to help share GPCI content and our updates, promoting some of our programs, events we'll be at. For instance, we attend Grant Summit each year, and we have a table there as well. And a lot of times we're also presenting or hosting events at that summit. Again, 2 to 3 hours a month, so it's a minimal commitment. And mostly that is related to our marketing committee meetings, and then to some of that social media support that we talked about. You are well supported. I'm on the marketing committee. We have a marketing chair. Tammy Telsey also supports us, as does Carly Wallace. So we have a pretty active marketing committee. If you are good with graphic design, we always need help with creating images to use in our marketing efforts, as well as social media posts, LinkedIn posts, seals, things like that. So if you are a creative person who has some experience in graphic design, please let us know. We'd welcome your help. And of course, we always need support with fundraising and sponsorship assistance. So helping us with reaching out to our donors, identifying potential sponsors for our events or for scholarships, and supporting our communication with those sponsors, thank you notes, outreach, updates, things like that. And again, that's another 2 hours a month. All of the things that we are sharing with you have minimal commitments. So don't be overwhelmed if you think, you know what, I want to volunteer, but I'm kind of time poor. Don't worry about that. We can, find something and somewhere where you can use your talents to support GPCI.
Tammy, anything you wanted to add to marketing, having been our marketing person for many years as a board member? Mute. Unmute yourself.
too many monitors going too. I can't reach it. Thank you. Lakeisha just joined as well, so I am going to talk a little bit while she gets ready for the next slide. Um, the marketing support that we need is generally very flexible. We know what we need ahead of time, and so you could work it into your schedule. And Amanda really covered this very well. But there is a lot of activities, so being able to kind of formulate and tune what you can do, even if it's multiple things on this. If you could stack some of these as well in your volunteer role and join the teams there. So let's see. Let's
Thank
go
you.
to
And so we're going to move to special opportunities. And I also want to take a moment to introduce our president, Lakeisha Morris Monroe. And so I will start this section and then but jump in, Lakeisha, at any point. So when we designed this, we did put in special opportunities, not necessarily listing them all, partially because it really varies. As Steve had mentioned previously, the accreditation really drives many of the things that we do, all the things that we do as an organization. And so there's special opportunities throughout the calendar year, and then depending on the cycle that we're in as far as our test development as well. But one of the things that we have to be really aware of, and we have a governance team that works to make sure that there are good separation, the different firewalls between different committees, so that we can ensure that everything is being done in the correct manner according to accreditation, but also just to the highest standards in our industry as well. So the special opportunities, I will turn over to Lakeisha to talk through some of the ones that we know are coming up. And then also mention some of them do have some restrictions even after you're off the board or committee as well. So thank you, Lakeisha.
Thank you. For special opportunities, do we have another slide to guide me? Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Why don't I jump? I'll jump in and then I'll go through it and then you can jump in with the more details. So the ones that we mostly this is where exam administration, which Lakeisha chairs, falls into this one, exam development, which Steve works on. And then every so often we do our job task analysis too. So those are the three that I was thinking of on this area.
Yes, thank you, Jelaine. And for our exam review, we use reviewers. No one knows who our reviewers are. And what happens is each month, as the candidates sit for the exam, the reviewers look at the essays and score the essays based on a rubric. One thing about the exam review volunteer opportunity, it is a minimum 1 year commitment. And the reason being is that we need to make sure that our reviewers, when they score, they are close enough so that we can continue to validate the test. Some of you might know when you write a grant and you get those scores back, one reviewer is like at a 10 and the other one is like a 3, and you're asking, did they even read the same application? Because I know I answered these questions. That is what we're trying to avoid when our reviewers are looking at your essays, and that when we compile those scores, they're very close together. So we do have a 1 year commitment on that. Another area where we are looking for with that test development, we are constantly reviewing the exam, rewriting portions of the exams, studying the psychometrics reports that we receive to make sure that we continue to be compliant. So we would ask for people to come in and look at the questions that are on the exam, those that might be performing well and might not be performing well, see how we can kind of tweak those. And as you might know, that we just rolled out a completely new exam where we had a group of subject matter experts who were volunteers that came in and helped us to write and review the exam that was out there. And then finally, we have, what was the third one? The exam reviewers.
Job
the
task analysis
and the
that
job
will
task
come up. Yeah.
analysis. Now, how do we know that the exam is something that assesses the broad knowledge of the grant field if we don't do those job task analysis? So that job task analysis is something that we are required to do. I think it's at least every 5 years we have to do that job task analysis. So again, we'll be relying on subject matter experts like yourselves to come in and help us with that. With these roles, it is important for you to understand that you would have to sign documentation. You would not be able to go out and then teach a course related to the GPC exam. And there are many things that you have to stay away from for 5 years, even after you fall off of service. So that's something to keep in mind if you are interested in training and you know that that's something you want to do in the short term. These would not be the positions for you. And of course, we would screen you before we even allow you to sit and take advantage of these special opportunities.
I have you on this one too, Lakeisha. So we're looking for board members.
And these are our wonderful board members. As you can see, we also are looking for board members. Now, I will tell you, I remember when I was first, the idea of being a board member was brought to me, and I looked at that application and they said, we are a working board. And I thought, okay, I like work. How hard could it be? We are a working board. So if you know that you do not have the time, if do not, this isn't the board for you. If you want to be on one of those pampered princess boards where everybody does everything for you and you just come and show up and vote, this is not the board for you. We put in work over here, and we put in work for a very long time. I've been a board member for whether this is my 8th year, my final year. Um, Tammy, she is off the board. She is now one of our team members. So she's still putting in work. It can feel like a part-time job at times, especially when we get into those areas where we are rolling out new exams. And we have a lot of people who become eligible this year. We've had the most people become new GPCs than we've ever had, and we hope that that continues to grow. I would say they say 20 hours per month, and that can fluctuate. So don't let it scare you, but please know that we rely on volunteers and we are growing to the phase where we can afford to hire support, but a lot of this work is on our hands. We have to be the ones reviewing these scores and maintaining the integrity of the exam, and we have to be careful about the exposure that the exam gets. So once you come in, you are a trusted part of this board, and it is a working board. They are not playing. If you don't believe anything else about that application, believe that part. But please, we need board members, and it's very rewarding.
So, and I will say, I think all of us probably, except for maybe recent people where we've been more clear in those interviews of the time commitment. I will say we do try the first year to ease you in a little. We don't throw big projects at you right away. But here's the thing is we have such amazing people on this board, and you're going to spend a lot of time with each other because of the nature of it, and they're the best people to spend time with. So I will say that I have so much admiration for everyone on our board and the past boards that I've been on as well, or past members of this board as well. So it is a lot of work, but it also has been so incredibly rewarding as well. And Lakeisha, if this is the year to join, because she is an amazing leader. So we're under great leadership always, but this year in particular. So
Thank you. Come on. We'll support you.
okay, so then what is next? So what we're going to encourage you to do is review the job descriptions that we do have online. Also, we'll send, Carly's going to send out a bunch of links to you on different information. If you're interested at all, go ahead and complete the volunteer survey, and we'll have links for all those things. And then we're also going to have the conflict of interest form. And we'll spend a little bit more time with that one. So, but after we receive your application in, we do have a process of vetting, and we have a governance committee that goes through those things. And as I apologized earlier, if you're in the group that did apply last year, with the rapid number of other things we had happening and applicants, the governance committee was behind on reviewing those. So if you did submit last year, we will just ask that your application, we are sending out the new CO conflict of interest forms, but we have your application on file, and we are still reaching out and still interested in having you do that, volunteer with us. We will walk you through everything that you will need to do for your new role, going through the different trainings, making sure it's really clear as well before you do sign on to different committees, what that means as far as your current and future work as well. So I wanted to just touch on the conflict of interest and the NDAs that we do have. So as mentioned numerous times, accreditation is really important. Conflict of interest forms are important for everyone, but ours is a little bit more involved because of that accreditation factor. And so we also have non-disclosure agreements because we're all working with sensitive information, and then some copyright things that we have you sign as well. If you have questions on any of those as you go through, please do reach out to us for that information. Carly is our wonderful person who helps send out the COIs and NDAs, and she also tries to help troubleshoot when we all have, I will say, the first time I did one, I know I didn't do it correctly either. So I asked Carly to just share some of the common errors and then how we can avoid those. So thank you, Carly.
Thank you. Okay, is the conflict of interest form showing? You can all see it. So the biggest problem, the most common error is just that it arrives incomplete. And I think part of this happens because when you first get it, there'll be a prompt down at the bottom that will tell you like, go here to sign, but there's a lot more to it than just signing. If you go through it, it really starts on page 6 where you need to mark your relationship to GPCI. And some people don't have anything prior to this. Like they said, you don't have to have a GPC to be a volunteer. So in that case, please just put other, and you can specify that you're interested in volunteering. So, and the reason it's important that it comes complete is our system does not allow edits, and this form is long, and I feel really bad when I have to ask someone to fill it out again. So, and then you would think there's a lot in the middle here, and some of it's not going to be relevant to you, but there is, you can put NA, and there's like a checkbox to put that not applicable. That will let us know you saw it and you chose not to fill it out. You didn't just miss it. And you will think that you are probably done. That's another thing once you get to page 12. Here you are, you're saying I have no conflicts, or there's some potential conflicts you need to discuss. You can put that and the board will review it and tell you if like you can volunteer or not. But this is not the last page. It looks like it because it's where you sign, and that's where the prompt will take you if you check it. But you actually need to go down a few more pages. There's a couple more things to sign. And this page, this is something people commonly miss. This is page 15. We need your name and address here, not just a signature at the bottom. And so yeah, that's basically it. The most common thing, the most common problem is just that it arrives incomplete because people are being prompted just to sign when there's actually a lot more to it. But yep, so that's about it. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, thank you so much, Carly. And if you have questions when you receive it, let us know or let Carly know, and we'll help walk you through that process. We do use Adobe to send that out, and we try to make sure that you know that that is a legitimate email coming out, and it's a safe email for you to use. If you need the form in a different format, just let Carly know, and we will work with you to make sure that it's something accessible to you as well. So thank you so much for your time with us today. I believe, are now turning to questions. Oh, I'm sorry. This is why I need to state. We have one more new program that we would like to share with you. Whether or not you're a GPC, we hope that either you, if you're an employer, or for your employers, that this program might be of interest to you. So this is not necessarily a volunteer opportunity, but we wanted to make sure we're sharing the news on it. So Amanda is our chair for this program. So thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, Jelaine. So if you were at Grant Summit in Baltimore at the end of October, beginning of November, you probably heard about our soft launch of this program, the Endorsing Employer Program. So what this is it provides a way for grant professionals to help identify and highlight employers who recognize and value the GPC credential. So employers who prefer hiring GPC certified candidates and recognize the value and importance of professionals who have undergone that rigorous training that's aligned with the grant competencies for excellence in our field, and support either through paying for example, part or all of your exam certification fees, your recertification fees. Employers who put a preference on hiring GPCs or include that in their promotion process. So those are the employers that we want to highlight. It doesn't matter if there's one employee or 100 employees. The fact that your employer supports GPC as a credential is important, and we want to help recognize those employers. There is no cost at all for completing the application. I'm going to drop in the chat here a link to the Endorsing Employer Program. So when you go on this site, you'll see the logos of employers who have already joined us and are approved endorsing employers. So please share with your organization that you work with, or if you are your own employer and a consulting firm, please feel free to fill this out yourself. And how it works is once approved, we provide you with this seal to place on your website so that you can highlight that you are a GPCI endorsing employer. And we do the same with your logo on our page, which you'll see if you navigate to the link that I just put in the chat. It kind of gives a spotlight on those employers who again are really supportive of the credential. And maybe if you are looking for future employment, can't get all my words out today, help you identify those who would really value your credential and include that in your compensation package. So that is the EEP program. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm also going to put the EEP email in the chat so that if you have any additional questions, you can feel free to contact us. Carly and I monitor that inbox, and we try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours of any questions.
Thank you, Amanda. So now we would also like to thank our GPC Fireside sponsors. We have a premier sponsor, Kim Joyce and Associates, gold sponsors, Grant Consulting Services, LLC, and silver sponsors, Bell Tower, Gems, and Langston Consulting.
We do have one question in the chat. And that question is, do you need to have done the CMP process before volunteering to review CMP packets?
No, you don't need to have been through the process yourself. I would imagine it might help you as you're going through.
Right. Do we have any additional questions?
That was the only one I saw in the chat. We have a small and intimate group here today.
Me too. Well, as we start to wrap up, there's one thing to take away from this. And I'm sure it was said already, the GPC is the first nationally accredited credential for the grant profession in the world. And not only was it the first for the NCCA, which is the body that credentialed us, we're the only one for grant professionals. So this is wholly ours. And whether you are just new to the GPC, I was new to the GPC and jumped right into volunteering, or if you're like Steve, or you were in the first batch of GPCs, you're one of our OGs, it's important for us to maintain this credential. And what's important with this credential and what separates it from the certification is we have that eligibility requirement. You have to have through education, through experience, through commitment to the grant profession. We have the maintenance requirement. Every 3 years, you're submitting your continuing education points and you're demonstrating that you continue to be a part of this grant profession. And then we also, as a part of that, is our service, that volunteerism. You get points in your CMP for that volunteerism. It's something that keeps you, one, close to your profession and keeps you up to date. It gives you a community in your fellow GPCs, and it also elevates the profession as a whole. And that's something that we hope that you all, as volunteers, will consider supporting us and helping us to continue to do that. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to email us. Our emails are here on the screen, volunteers@grantcredential.org. Visit our website, sign up for our newsletter. Make sure that you favorite us so that you can actually get the newsletters. Don't be like me and let things go to spam. So show the people that you like us, show your Outlook or your Google that you like us so that you can get it delivered into your primary box and that you can get that information. We're always putting out great information for you, and we're always here to answer any questions that you might have. Anyone else have anything before we?
There was a question that Amanda did answer as well, but if there is a committee that needs more help. And she mentioned all of them do, ambassadors, of course, but I'm not sure if anybody else wants to make a pitch for their committee.
I know that I do need at least one more essay reviewer. We have essay reviewers that are going to roll off, so I do need to get someone trained into that spot.
And our CMP program as well, for the one for maintenance, we do. I think almost all of our committees do need help.
Oh, we need board members and we need committee members. Yes.
And the other thing to mention, just with the board, again, our governance committee is really one that helps make sure we're always, they're the most close to accreditation and requirements. So with the board itself as well, we do need to look at a lot of different factors, including geography, so that we don't have all people on East Coast or all north. So there are many factors that go in as well to selecting board members. So just to keep that in mind as well, if we haven't scared you by the great team that you get to work with a lot and get to know. But so everything we do, if for some reason there's something you want to do and we aren't able to put you on that committee, it's likely goes back to those different policies, procedures with accreditation. So it's not that we don't value you, and there should be a place here for everyone because we have different marketing things that don't require GPC or anything, but just know that that is what drives us, is we have to make sure that you have the right, or that our accreditation is always forefront for that.
Yes. And with that, we thank you all for spending lunch with us. I hope you all grabbed a little something to eat, and if not, grab you something very quickly before getting back to work. You all have a wonderful, what is this, Thursday? A wonderful Thursday.